Hi everyone. Today we're going to be drawing and shading a chain. And sometimes it's fun just to take a simple object or fairly simple object and spend some time magnifying it, like zooming in real close and shading it in all its detail. So I thought it would be fun to do that with a chain. And I know a lot of you, if not most of you, are still trying to finish some of your projects. So I didn't want to give you a huge project, but this is really good practice. And there's lots of different types of chains. The one I drew here is called a Figaro chain. So it's more like the type of chain that would be in a necklace. And it's just really great practice to shade all the shadow and highlights that occur in a chain. So there are different types of chains, and if you want to do some of your own research and look online for some different types of chains, like you could just draw a big heavy chain, like one that might be attached to an anchor, or you can look up the different types of chains that that they make for necklaces, like a gold chain. So feel free to do that if you want to research and use a reference picture for your chain. But I'm going to demonstrate a chain that's called a Figaro chain. So it's a little different because it has basically like an oval and then two circles, and then an oval and two circles. So that's what I'm going to start with. And you know, we want this to be fairly big, like a big zoom in close up of the chain so that we can get all the shading and details in. So I'm going to just start with a long oval and then a couple shorter circles or shorter ovals. I guess they're not quite circles, they're more like ovals. And actually it's 3. Did I say 2 before? I'm sorry, I meant 3. So a long oval and then 3 shorter, fatter ovals, and a long oval and then 3 like that. Okay, so that's the basic drawing that I'm going to start with. Okay, and then I'm going to start adding the other side of each link in the chain. So I'm going to go ahead and double up the line like this. And I'm not worrying yet about where they interlock or intersect. I'm just going to double it up real lightly with my pencil to give myself something to start from. So there we go. So some of these lines I'm going to end up erasing. So again, it's just good to press very lightly with your pencil so that you can erase. And it doesn't really matter what link on the chain you start with. I'm just going to maybe start here. So I'm going to elongate this so that it's really connecting with this chain here. And what gets confusing about this is to know which part of the chain is in front and which part is behind. So it is helpful to look at a reference picture while you're working so that you can be reminded what part is in front. So this one actually is the one I want to be in front. So let me show you close up. This is curving on top. This one is going underneath. Okay. And then this one is coming out on top here, and this one is underneath. So then I'm going to erase that line. So before we do any shading, we're just going to get those intersecting, interlocking links. Try to get that correct the way we want them. So this one should be over. This one should be under. So like I said, it gets a little confusing. Now I'm pressing a little bit harder with my pencil, and I'm erasing the lines that I don't need. So this one came over, this one is coming out from under. Okay, so this was over, this one's going to be over now. So every other one is going to be over. So again, it gets a little confusing, but after you've done a few, you'll get the hang of it. Okay, so that's going over and it's going under then and coming out over here. I'm just going to keep going with that. So this is under, this is over, this is under, and this is one of my long ones. So again, I'm just getting the interlocking part down and erasing the lines I don't need so I don't get confused. Okay, and once I won't finish the whole chain right now. I'll just start showing you how I'm gonna shade. So the ones that are under, you want some shadow, especially right next to where they get overlapped. So like right here and here. So see how this part is under? I'm gonna shade right here and right here. Okay, this part is under, so I'm going to shade right here. So you're shading right next to whatever area gets covered. Does that make sense? So like here, this one's over, this one's under, so I'm going to shade a little bit right here. So see how this one is? You're going to shade just a little bit in the area right next to where it got covered. Because there's a little bit of shadow there. Okay, and then, of course, we want to use our blending tool and soften it. Doesn't necessarily mean it makes it lighter. It actually makes it darker, but it softens it, which means it smooths it out and it takes away some of your shading lines that were created with your pencil. Okay, so we're just creating some shadow. And then we probably want to lighten up. I'm going to go back and maybe lighten up a little bit in the center. Like that. For a little bit of highlight. Okay, and then right where it intersects or interlocks, you can even press a little bit harder with your pencil to get it really dark. Like that. So we're getting different values. We're creating very dark darks and some very light lights, and then we've got somewhere in between, right? Okay, so again, it's something very simple yet challenging to draw and shade. Okay, so maybe I'll do this one here. So I'm going to press kind of hard. I'm going to create that shadow because it's coming from underneath. And on these long ones, if you want to actually shade a little bit, but use lighter pressure there, leave the center white, shade again with a little light pressure, and then dark where it gets shadowy again. So see how I have two different values here, and then I left it white. And then I'm going to blend and soften. And maybe just very lightly go into that area with your blending tool. Maybe a little at the bottom, make it kind of shadowy at the bottom. Okay, so that's something you can do here too. All right, so this is just a really great exercise for shading and just kind of fun to draw. And this is just one kind of chain. Again, you could do a big, bulky, heavy chain, like a chain that's connected to an anchor. In fact, if you want to draw it connected to something like an anchor, you certainly can. That would be a fun project too, to draw the big chain and then actually have the anchor. Or something else that's connected to a chain. You could try to draw the little clasp that's on the necklace. Another fun thing you could do is draw a chain with a pendant hanging from it. So that's another idea. That would be a lot of fun instead of just drawing the chain. But even just drawing the chain, I think, is a lot of fun. And like I said, good practice. And I think if you can really add as much contrast as possible, so having some really light areas, highlights, and then really dark shadowy areas, and then also having some of those shades in between, those mid-tone shades, you're going to start to really get a realistic effect on your chain. And I darkened the bottom of each one of these links too, so that helps. So have fun with it. And show me your chains when you're done. So I hope you had fun drawing and shading a chain with me. And you know, I didn't really develop this into much of a project, but like I said, if you wanted to develop yours into a project by drawing the full chain or drawing a pendant or drawing an anchor, that would be great. And don't forget to send me a picture or post it to our private Facebook page. I would love to see it. Have a great week, everybody.